In West Africa, where the land is full of life and culture is everywhere, you might hear a special way people say hello. People from different tribes, both young and old, will call someone from the Kissi Tribe uncle or auntie. This isn't just a friendly nickname or a joke between neighbors, it's a name that shows deep respect, given because of a history that is both sad and inspiring. This tradition is like a living memory. It reminds people of a time when the Kissi made a huge sacrifice for peace, changing how tribes in the area treated each other. The story behind this greeting is important in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. To understand why, we need to look back in time, to when this title was created during hard times and sealed with a loving act. This isn't just about a name, it's about the weight of history and the power of giving up something for others. When someone calls a Kissi man uncle, it's not just being nice. They are showing thanks for something that can never really be paid back. They are repeating a promise made long ago to always remember the people who gave everything so others could live in peace. It shows that true greatness comes from helping others, not from having power. Some people who don't know this tradition might think it's just a local habit. But for the people here, it's something very special. The words uncle and auntie remind everyone of a sad past but also a hopeful future. They remind people that peace is precious, and sometimes it comes at a great cost. The story of the Kissi teaches us all about bravery, kindness, and the strength of the human spirit. It's a story that should be told, remembered, and respected by everyone. So, let's learn about this amazing history. Let's find out what this simple but powerful greeting really means. The story starts in a time of trouble, when tribes were fighting and the land needed peace. The Kissi, known for their strength and love for tradition, were at the heart of this call for peace. What they did ended a terrible war, and gave them a title of honor that has lasted for centuries. Even today, people say uncle or auntie to show respect and thanks. Just like soldiers might shake hands or say sir to show respect after a battle, the Kissi greeting is a way to remember courage and kindness. It's a daily reminder of the respect that lives on through the years. The lands that are now Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia were once a cauldron of ceaseless tribal warfare. The air was thick with tension, and the earth was stained with the blood of warriors. Great tribes like the Lormas, the Capellas, the Mendes, and the Gbandes were locked in a brutal and unforgiving cycle of conflict. They fought for land, for resources, for power, and for pride. Villages were burned, families were torn apart, and fear was a constant companion for everyone. The fighting seemed to have no end in sight, as each act of violence was met with an even greater act of retaliation, a spiral of vengeance that threatened to consume them all. Among these powerful tribes were the Kissi. They were not a people to be trifled with. The Kissi were known throughout the region as formidable warriors, fierce and disciplined in battle. They had a proud kingdom, led by a wise king and a respected queen who guided their people with strength and integrity. Their warriors were skilled, their communities were strong, and their spirit was unbreakable. They defended their lands with courage and were a force that commanded respect. Yet despite their strength, they too were caught in the relentless tide of war, suffering losses and mourning their dead just like every other tribe caught in the endless struggle for dominance. After years of devastating conflict, the leaders of the warring tribes grew weary. The constant bloodshed had weakened them all, and the elders saw that if the fighting did not stop, there would be nothing left to rule but ashes and graves. They came together, their hearts heavy with the losses their people had endured, and sought a way to forge a lasting peace. They consulted the spiritual leaders and the wise oracles, desperate for a solution that would finally end the suffering. The answer they received was both terrifying and absolute. A great sacrifice was needed to cleanse the land and appease the spirits. The oracle's decree was clear. To seal the peace treaty and ensure it would never be broken, a human life had to be offered. This was not to be the life of a prisoner or a slave, but a sacrifice of great value, one that would signify a genuine commitment from all the tribes. The person had to be buried alive at the meeting point of the three nations, a symbolic act to unify the lands. But when the time came, no tribe was willing to offer one of their own. The Lormas refused. The Capellas refused. The Mendes and Gbandes could not bring themselves to make such a choice. The alliance for peace faltered, on the verge of collapsing back into war. It was in this moment of desperate stalemate that the Kissi people showed their true character. A young pregnant woman from the Kissi tribe named Kumba Youku stepped into the center of this historical crisis. She was a symbol of life and hope, carrying the future within her. Her story was even more poignant because her husband was not Kissi. He was from one of the other tribes, making her unborn child a bridge between the warring peoples. When the elders chose her for the sacrifice, it was a decision that sent ripples of shock and sorrow through the land. The sacrifice had to be of immense value, and what could be more valuable than a mother and her unborn child? The weight of this decision fell upon the Kissi king and queen. They were asked to give up one of their own, a daughter of their tribe, for the sake of a peace that was not even guaranteed. The leaders of the other tribes watched, holding their breath, assuming the Kissi would refuse just as they had. But the Kissi leadership, after solemn deliberation, made a choice that would echo through eternity. They agreed. They understood that a peace, built on the blood of their own, would be a sacred peace, one that no one would dare to violate. They chose the future of all the tribes over the life of one of their own, a testament to their incredible bravery and profound desire for harmony. The sacrifice of Kumba Youku was a moment of immense sorrow and sacredness. She was led to the designated spot, a place where the borders of the future nations would meet. She was buried alive, and with her, she took the hatred and bitterness that had poisoned the land for so long. Her unborn child, a symbol of the unity that could have been, became a foundation for the peace that would be. This act was not one of violence, but one of ultimate love and selflessness. It was a mother giving her life and the life of her child so that countless other children could grow up without knowing the horrors of war. The ground that received her became holy ground. The impact of this sacrifice was immediate and profound. A heavy silence fell over the tribal leaders. The enormity of what the Kissi people had done settled upon them. They had given what no one else was willing to give. The war ended. The treaty was sealed not with ink, but with the lifeblood of a Kissi woman and her child. The other tribes, humbled and filled with a deep sense of gratitude and indebtedness, looked upon the Kissi people with newfound reverence. They were no longer just another tribe, they were the people who had saved them all. A new relationship was born from this tragedy, one built on respect and everlasting honor. From that day forward, a new tradition was born. The leaders of the other tribes made a solemn vow. They decreed that from that moment on, every Kissi person would be seen as a relative, as family. No member of their tribes would ever raise a hand against a Kissi person again. Instead, they would be greeted with the highest honor. Every Kissi man would be called uncle, or Kissi, and every Kissi woman would be called auntie. This was not just a title, it was a sacred pact, a verbal monument to the sacrifice of Kumba Youku and the bravery of her people. It was a blessing and a shield, ensuring their safety and respect wherever they went. This title is a living piece of history, a constant reminder of the price of peace. When a Mende, a Kapele, or a Lorma calls a Kissi person uncle or auntie, they are honoring the memory of Kumba Youku. They are acknowledging that the peace their ancestors enjoyed was bought with Kissi blood. The greeting is a way of saying, "We remember what you did for us, we are indebted to you. You are our elders, our guardians of peace." It is a tradition that has been passed down through generations, a beautiful and powerful symbol of reconciliation and unity that has endured through the centuries. It is vitally important that this tradition is understood and preserved. In a world that often forgets its past, this oral history serves as a powerful lesson. It teaches us that true honor comes from sacrifice, not from conquest. It reminds us that peace requires courage, and that sometimes the greatest strength is shown in the willingness to give, not to take. To forget the meaning behind this greeting would be to dishonor the memory of Kumba Youku and the profound gesture of the Kissi people. It is a story that should be taught in schools and shared in homes, a beacon of hope in a region that has known its share of conflict. Therefore, let us always remember the uncles and aunties of the land. Let us honor the Kissi people not just with our words, but with our understanding of the deep history they carry. Their story is a testament to the enduring power of love and sacrifice to overcome even the most bitter of hatreds. It is a legacy of peace that was gifted to the region, a gift that continues to resonate in the simple, yet profoundly meaningful greeting of uncle and auntie. This is more than a custom, it is the heartbeat of a promise to always choose peace and to honor those who paid the ultimate price to achieve it.